What up, world? What up, world? What up, world? You are in tune to Marvelous Talk. And once again, it's your guys. Big G. What's up, Big G?
What's happening? What's happening?
Yeah. And we here with my main man, Dame. Dame, what's popping?
What's cracking? Man, y'all, they weren't even super soldiers.
Even super soldiers. That's what he's referring to, you guys. They And listen. You are in tune to another episode of Marvelous Talk. And we're here to discuss everything in the world of Marvel that we've got going on and what's bigger in the MCU than Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 4. Only have 2 more left, and I'm going to tell you, this episode was epic, man. It may have been the best one out of the 4 that we've seen, but we're going to definitely get into it. But as always, if you have not seen this episode, don't know why you haven't, may have been under a rock, whatever. If you haven't seen this episode, make sure you stop, pause, come back after you watched it because there's some spoiler alerts. Also, if you love the podcast, you love what we're doing, man, make sure you like and subscribe. Share it around to other folks because it's here for you, man. And listen, as we get ready and we dive right into the content this week, I just want to say this. It's keeping with the theme, and they've stuck to their guns on talking about injustice racially. They're talking about injustice from an economic perspective. So you're talking about economic injustice, and then you're talking about a word called supremacy. And listen, I'm going to let Dame say something about this because we hear it all the time. People, and Dame brought this up in episode 2. People don't want their real life and their make-believe life to intersect. But man, listen, this is Marvel, and you're not mad when they, bring aliens from outer space. But you're mad when we talk about something that's here and happening right now. I say kudos to Marvel. I say kudos. Dave, what was your thought and your takeaway? Because you had an interesting discussion this week as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, I think it's really awesome for us to see them displaying real issues that a lot of times people don't want to deal with. The whole aspect of, you had this character of John Walker, and he's definitely coming from this mindset of privilege, just the way he interacts with people, the things that he says, and then he gets reality in his face. And the thing that he does is because he's so used to getting his way that in order to get his way, he cheats. And we're going to talk about that later on in the show. But I thought it was real interesting that when things didn't go Walker's way, the way he's used to it going, the only way for him to level the whole playing field was he had to change the game. He had to cheat. And that's not what Steve Rogers would have done. That's what we were talking about earlier, Maud, that Steve Rogers was a straight arrow all the way across. So that's why you see the character flaws between this new Captain America. I call him fake Captain America. But that's where you see
Captain America. He brought him off Wish.
Right. So that's where you see these flaws with this guy, because he's so used to things going his way that when the game changes, I'm not going to adapt to it. I'm going to make sure I keep the advantage, even if it means cheating. And sad to say, in our reality that we live in, folks, that's a lot of what we see going on with people today is, I don't like the way things going. So in order for me to be on top, no matter how it is, no matter what I got to do, I'm going to do what's necessary for me to stay on top.
Yeah, man. Win at all costs. That's that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Big G, what you think about, the themes that we're talking about right now?
I mean, they're all current, man. It's like what the world we live in today for sure. But, the one thing, and I had this conversation off camera with my wife, we were talking about the show. And the one thing that you just can't get past is that when does privilege cross over to biased and then bias cross over to racism? Like when do those things happen? You know, I think for a lot of us, we really need to like check our bias at the door. You know, and that's something that the show's sort of bringing out, that, you know, all of us, it's impossible to not be biased because, you know, I got children and family and friends, and I'm always going to lean a little bit towards them. But when does bias cross over to where I feel like I'm privileged and I got to have it? And then when does that cross over into flat out racism, where I build institutions and structures and systems to keep people oppressed, keep people down, and keep people separated? That theme is throughout the whole construct of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So it's great that Marvel used this format to help us have open discussions about bias, racist, prejudice, you know, and especially with what we're dealing with in the world today. You know, that's just my spin, you know.
Absolutely, man. And you guys, I mean, it's one of those things that amazes me on how good they're tying everything in. So jumping right into this episode, of course, we get an opportunity to see a bad woman come back. You know, she bad. And she's standing here and, you know, she's talking to Bucky. And of course, you know, they're having this interaction and she's basically saying, you know, well, before they had the interaction, it was a flashback. And it was a flashback to what she had done for him in Wakanda. You know, and she was reminding him of the fact that, hey, you had the Winter Soldier program ripped from you like a bad fur, you know, like a diseased fur. And basically he was like, yeah, I get it. And she was like, well, why did you free Zemo? And he was like, man, he's the means to an end. That's the first time you heard that. But you heard it a couple of more times in this episode, which I thought was really good. The writers are doing their job, if you're paying attention. So definitely at this point, he's like, yeah, I get it. And she was like, no, you don't. I don't think you understand half of what we went through. Our shame, our loss. And he's like, oh, well, you know. And at this moment, I'm laughing because of the simple fact that this guy got super strength, superhuman abilities, right? And he looked like he's the one that's scared. Like, he looked like he's the one that's about to get dealt with. He's like, yes, ma'am. Yeah, he got his head down. He's like, you know, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. You know, and basically she tells him what's gonna happen. Look, you got a couple hours to deal with him when we coming back.
Hey, bro, you're dealing with the second in command of the Dora Milaje. So that's why he know he ain't playing with no just regular Jane. This is some serious firepower in his presence. He knows, just like she told him, we got that program off of you. So if she was able with Shuri to get the program off of him, he knows that she's capable of a lot of damage to his psyche. Not only his mental and his physical, but his psyche. So AO ain't no joke.
Ain't no joke. So, you know, we progressed past that scene and, you know,
but Mon, I got to tell y'all, and this is for the viewers, when you get a chance, go back and watch that scene again, because there's something real powerful that happens in there. Every last one of the words that make him change into the Winter Soldier is attached to his past trauma. You see, like you'll see a word that's said, and then like his trauma's tied to that word. So as he was getting free and as he was getting broken, you figure out that, wait a minute, the reason why they pick these words, they're not just at random. They're just not synopsis. There are things that's actually tied to his psyche to make him just want to just black out. Because most of the time, when you think about it, people that experience high levels of trauma, they always looking for a way to escape. So what he would do as part of his programming of escape was the words were reformed. He would go through that trauma and he was just wiped clean because he wanted to escape. You know, so now it's like all of that trauma came back in one moment. And that's why he was standing like in the picture that was just shown. He's sitting at the fire and he's like, oh my God, he felt all that trauma for that he's been, because, you know, the Winter Soldier's about 100 years old, you know, so he's been hauling people out for a long time.
He said it there. He said he's 106. So and she kind of laughed. But that was when he was on the date in the bar. If you guys remember, he said he was 106. But you hit on right where I was, the street I was driving down. You have to understand, with Bucky, we heard in the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, you have your freedom. What are you gonna do with it? You heard in this at the fire, you're free. So see, once he got free, he was free from what he had. He was like, man, what do I do now? You know what I'm saying? And this is in Wakanda. And then after he, comes back, and they get in the fight, he's blipped, and he comes back. He's still in the mind frame of, what do I do with my freedom?
Mm-hmm.
It's an old African proverb where an elephant was tied to a tree and he had a chain around his neck. And every time he tried to go and move, the chain would bring him back. He tried to move, the chain would bring him back. Years go past, they take the chain off. Well, the elephant would take 2 steps and then he would just sit back down. Because what happens is the mental trappings are still there once you're free.
Yeah.
So this whole thing, like G was talking about, the trauma that Bucky has went through is still very fresh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very fresh. He's free from it, but it's still new. It's still new. And White Wolf, it's not lost on White Wolf. That is second in command of the Dora Milaje. It's not lost on him at all. And so he goes back inside and he's talking to Sam, and this is hilarious. See, we cannot ignore the chemistry between Sam, Zemo, and Bucky. This is some great chemistry, man. I mean, probably better than the Guardians of the Galaxy's chemistry. Their chemistry is really good. Better than. Well, I don't know if it's better than Steve and Tony. Their chemistry is really good. I don't know, but it's good. It's up there.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving this top shelf. Yeah.
And he's like, thank you for trying to save me. I appreciate it. Was sweet of you for trying to save me. He was like, but what you followed? He was like, I know, and I'm being followed. And and this is whole thing. But the one of the moments, there's a moment in every episode that gives me life. There was Zemo dancing. Zemo dancing gave me life. Seeing Zemo in the club like this dancing gave me life.
Hey, by the way, y'all know they did a whole 1 hour cut of him dancing.
1 hour cut of Zemo getting it in, right? But this one was, they were trying to find out how to find Carla. And so Sam said, well, yeah, when my TT died, Bucky was like, TT? And he was like, yeah, my aunt. When my aunt died, we had a celebration the whole week long of her life. Maybe it's something like that. And Zemo turns around and he says, your TT would be proud.
Yeah.
Gave me life, man. Gave me life. Your TT will be
proud.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. So, what did you guys think of that moment?
Oh man, Zemo acting a fool. Your TT would be proud. The way he said it in his language, in his accent was funny. Yeah, man, that was hilarious. I lost it when he said that. And Sam kind of gave him this look like, man, it was funny.
But you know what though, fellas? I don't know. It's just me, because I dive deep. I'm a rabbit hole guy, so I dive deep. So what I saw in that moment, man, was like 2 cultures from 2 different places at 2 different spots of the world identified with each other. Zemo might have been egging him and pulling his leg, but in all actuality, he was saying, hey, look, man, we walk down the same path. We walk down the same street. She's your TT because we love her. She's not just an aunt. She's not just your mom or your dad's sister. This is your TT. Right. This is somebody who you love. So there was a lot of commonality where, the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, even all the way back in the first movie, you don't see Bucky tied to nobody. Bucky is like the hero for everybody. You don't hear him about family. Matter of fact, if you go back and pick it up, the only family he really had was Steve Rogers that they allowed to come live with him, because and Bucky lived with his moms. So, Bucky doesn't have that relational ideology and understanding the complexities of relationship. But, Zemo definitely does. I mean, he's a baron. You know, so he understands what it is to have community, kingdom. He gets all of that. And I picked that up and I was like, oh man. So the writers of this show, they waste nothing. Let's just say they waste
That's
nothing.
true.
And so the other piece of this conversation that was rich was this. He introduced a word that we all are familiar to, but that it runs neck and neck with racism, and that's supremacists, or, you know, supremacy, right? And he used it in the context of a super soldier having supremacy. And basically he was saying, and he said this in front of a super soldier, and I know he knows what he's doing, and what he's saying is affecting Bucky. But at the same time, I wonder, does he know what he's saying? That Bucky is a super soldier. And he's saying the only one that haven't been affected by the serum in a way, or becoming a super soldier, and that supremacy of having godlike power, is Steve Rogers. What did you guys think about that? Just dialogue back and forth, Dane?
Well, I mean, he's right. Steve is the exception. I mean, clearly, he's the exception to the rule. But all these other people who sought after this formula, man, it affects them. And most of the time in a negative way. When I say most of the time, all of them except Steve, it's affected them negatively. I mean, even Bucky. I mean,
Banner.
Banner, I mean, think about it. What is the thing that controls him is his rage. And that usually don't benefit people, bro, when he's doing catastrophic damage to your buildings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
he became an Avenger, so he's able to control it. So, Banner's heart reigned true.
True.
But not as true as Steve Rogers, because he was able to pick up Mjolnir. So yeah.
Well, one of the things too, man, about that conversation is ultimate power corrupts ultimately. There's no other way to say it. Ultimate power corrupts ultimately. And I'm a counselor by trade, so I know that the two things that always corrupt people that I deal with is substances like alcohol and drugs, and money. It turns them into more of what they really are. So I think that's just like the writer's way of spinning and showing that the more you have of this particular thing, the more you become of what you really are. Steve Rogers is one of a kind. That symbol and that shield means a whole lot, man. It means a whole lot to a whole lot of people. And I still say, regardless of what anybody says, Steve Rogers did the right thing by giving Sam Wilson that shield, man. Sam Wilson's character is top notch. Top notch. For him to be an African American and grew up basically in the ghetto and went through the military and been under command. So he's been in charge and been under the command of something, and to show loyalty and love and patience and care. I mean, heck, he's a counselor. He's a grievance counselor for soldiers that come back from overseas and have PTSD and all whatever else. So I don't care. And I hope that the show does end up at the last and we see the Captain American version of Falcon, because Steve knew what he was doing by picking Sam Wilson as the guy. Heck, even in the comic books, right up here, I got a copy of the first comic book that Sam Wilson ever appeared in with Steve Rogers. Sam Wilson in the comic book started out as a crook, but by the time he became a hero, Steve Rogers said, "Falcon, you're one of the guys that should carry this mantle. If anything ever happens to me, you should be the one to carry it." So Steve Rogers knew what he was doing, which even more speaks to the character of Steve Rogers. Very humble person, man. Very humble person.
Definitely. And so, the crazy thing is we're going to get back to what you were talking about here in just a moment, because it ties in, it's woven into the theme of this whole thing, right? So Zemo and Sam and Bucky go to definitely the place where the Flag Smashers have been hanging out, right? So they're there, and Sam gets an opportunity to interact with some of the people upstairs because they were really not trying to deal with him. Everybody was running as he came into the building. Everybody was running like, no, we don't want to talk to you. No, we don't want to talk to you. No, we don't want to talk to you. Until he got to a teacher, which I thought was very interesting, that the teacher talked to him and what the teacher said, right? What the teacher said was, look, we've been over here waiting for help. Nobody gave us help. And he implied that he got help from somebody, which we know was Carly. And at this point, he was like, I know who you are, but we don't talk to outsiders. Why? Because there's this whole system that's set up that is, hey, we're going to look after ourselves because we know that you guys, the GRC, is not going to help us with anything, right? But they're called the Global Relocation or what is it? The Global Relocation Corporate. What is it, Dave?
Global Repatriation Council.
There it is. So you're supposed to help me. You're supposed to help me establish myself, but you're not. One of the posters is even up outside as they come in. They see it, right? So at this point, Sam is realizing, man, Carly's not wrong. Carly's not wrong for the things she's doing because, look, I can draw parallels to what's even happening in my life. Carly's not wrong. So as he comes down, he's like, man, I think I'm struck out. But Zemo is up doing Zemo stuff. There was
Turkish Delight.
Yeah, there's some candy that he offered earlier when he was in the kitchen having a conversation with Bucky and Sam. He offered them a Turkish Delight, as they said. And then he offers the kids these Turkish Delights. Now, this whole scene right here is going down, and Zemo says something very interesting that I think is going to be a callback. Mark my words, you heard it here first on Marvelous Talk. He said, these men are evil. Don't trust them. They're evil. Don't trust them. Why would he have to say that to the kids when we didn't see them go back to talk to the kids? What you guys think about this scene? Talk to me.
Well, I mean, he still got a beef with these dudes, man. These are Avengers. These are people that are responsible for him going down. So he still got that chip on his shoulder, even though they broke him out, quote unquote. He don't care about that because he still sees them as part of the problem. So at the end of the day, he was telling them how he felt. They bad men. He's telling it to a child in a child's way, but he was just telling them how he felt about them. That's how he don't care about these dudes, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but Zemo is never broke character. I mean, Zemo is evil. For any of y'all that don't want to think he's gray or borderline anti-hero and all whatever else, Zemo is evil. He's true to his comic book character and comic book nature. That's what he is. Zemo is a mass manipulator. And any of y'all that ever want to get into the comic books and discussion, I might even do a rabbit hole show about Zemo. And so you guys can really understand this Zemo's lineage has been passed down from Baron to Baron to Baron to Baron. Zemo's like the ninth Baron Zemo from his lineage. These guys are ultimately corrupt. So they do subtleties to manipulate and control, but their goal is always to have ultimate power. His motivation to crush all the rest of the Avengers and super soldiers and all the other stuff is two-sided. On one side, it's revenge about the loss of his son and his wife that was lost in Sokovia. That's the way they spun it in the MCU. But in the comic book, Zemo wants to eliminate all them people so in that way he can have ultimate power. Because he's a little bit better than the average Joe. He's a little bit smarter. He's a little bit faster. He's definitely a little bit richer. So Zemo is never broke character. Evil to his core. It sort of sounds like you know, that enemy guy that lives down below, you know, in HELL hockey sticks. He gonna give you a little bit of the truth, but in all reality, he's evil to the core.
So,
you know.
So my theory on this whole thing is just real quick, sidebar. And my theory is that he's kind of setting himself up to where he would have allies. He knew at some point he was gonna get loose, right? I mean, he said this when they were in Madripoor. Guys like us always find a way. You know what I'm saying? People like us always find a way. So just like Big G was saying, the wheels in this guy's head is moving. You know, and just like Damon said, he doesn't really care for the Avengers, although I believe he's getting a heart for Sam.
Yeah.
I believe at some point his heart changed for Sam. I believe that he's like, okay,
Sam, you know why? You know why? Because Sam is showing forth. He's showing forth that same, like like what G said earlier about Steve picking Sam Wilson for a reason. Zemo is seeing that reason manifest by being around him. He's seeing this dude is true to his form. He's straight as an arrow. So I think that's what's making him like really come around to Sam. And I think we'll talk about that a little bit, that specific scene that really kind of shows that. But yeah, that's what I think.
Definitely. And when they got back to the apartment, he was saying, hey, you know, definitely, I don't think Carly's wrong. Sam told Bucky, I don't think Carly's wrong. And he said, if you believe that, then if you believe that ends justify the means, here we go again. You know, a means to an end, ends justifying the mean. Bucky had said it earlier, now Sam's saying it. You know, definitely, he's saying, if you believe that, then she's no better than Zemo. But here's the thing. He's saying, you know, he described what Dame had said earlier. People vanished and disappeared. Now, if you guys don't get this, we have to set this world up for the viewers. And I know that we'll just take like a 2-minute piece, you know, each other to say something about this. But you got to understand, 5 years went by and half the population of the earth was gone. That means the borders between countries were erased. Because just like Sam said, they needed help. People needed help. So if you could just kind of have this vision in your mind, there were empty homes that people just moved into. There were places that were abandoned that people moved in and built lives. So when people came back, they were evicting people out of those places that had became their homes. So
that's real. That's real. That, you know, that actually happened to Spider-Man in Far From Home. Because they moved to another place because when they came back, somebody was already living in their apartment. So that's real talk. That's exactly what happened.
So can you blame Carly?
No, you can't. You can't. Like I said, like you said earlier, man, it's like Sam saw the same situation she's dealing with the GRC. There's the same thing he dealt with trying to get the loan from the bank. You know, it's injustice that still exists that nobody has dealt with. You know, we put a Band-Aid on it, but it's still the same problem, you know. So yeah, man. I mean,
what'd you think, G?
Well, anytime you have bias at the base, supremacy is the coffee that rises to the top or the cream that rises to the top. If you have bias down here, supremacy's got to come out of it, you know. And that was, believe it or not, that was the whole pre-blip world. Now, 5 years later, you didn't have folks at the bottom that got a taste of being in control of their own life, being in control of their money, being in control of their country, and now for 5 years they didn't had it, and now all of a sudden, they don't have it anymore. All of that stuff's broke down. So now people is like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me the only thing that's been stopping me from having some type of control, some type of wealth, some type of whatever, and not living in the dirt bottom is these people returning? Oh no, I got to fight for mine because I've had a taste of it and I know what it feels like. You know, so and it's really like what we're dealing with in our society, in our world today. There's a lot of pushback from a lot of people that's saying, look, we're tired, especially in our country. We are tired of always being at the bottom. And it doesn't matter. And this is like a non-racial issue. You know, it's racial because there's a lot of spin on it, but it's really a non-racial issue. The issue is that there's a lot of folks that don't have, and people are tired of not having.
Yeah, it's that's why I said we're tackling racial injustice and we're tackling economical injustice. They're both being tackled inside of Falcon and Winter Soldier because it affects Black, brown, and people of other colors. So it's just not the whole thing. You know, it's not just one group of people that's being singled out, but they're dealing with it as a whole. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. And then we're going into the conversation where Sam calls in another favor again from
Sharon.
She evil, man. She evil. Trust me, man.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I can't really say that 110%.
Man.
Right? But definitely at this point, right, you know, we're here and we're talking to Sam is talking to Sharon about this whole thing. But then we fast forward and we have a conversation that is really, I thought, was a good one, where he said, you know, I used to be a Captain America fan, right? I used to be a Captain America fan, and I never thought that I'd be a fan until, you know, I met you. So now I met you, I'm a Captain America fan. And he said, well, she was basically saying, I'm really not like that. And then he says, well, today, and this is what we were talking about anti-heroes, you guys. We said it was coming, and here it is. He said the heroes of today gotta get their hands dirty. Talk to me about that, man. Let's hear it, Dame. I need to hear it. Sound off.
Man, I mean, that's kind of packed into the conversation we've been having already, is that, you know, and she said something interesting in that conversation too. She said that shield was just, that was a symbol of what I'm paraphrasing, but she said that was a symbol of yesterday. It's archaic, it's old. That what that stands for, it don't even relate today. So it's almost like, I don't know, man. It's a lot in that statement, but it basically kind of goes into almost the mindset of John Walker with Carly. It's like, hey, I'm gonna cheat to get what I need, even though that's not the right thing to do. Hey, it's almost like a Malcolm X thing, by any means necessary. So that's where I got from that statement when she said that, man. I'm like, you know,
and that's funny. That's funny that you said that, because in the next, I was gonna wait till the next scene to kind of break this out, but I kind of see Carly as Malcolm X, and I kind of see Sam as Dr. Martin Luther King. It's kind of that same. Sam is, I believe in your cause, but I want to do it nonviolent. Carly's like, you know, hey, whatever it takes. I'm at the window with the gat looking out. You know what I'm saying? It's by any means necessary. We got to get it. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good observation, Dame. It's a really good observation. What you see there in that scene, G?
Well, first thing, I got to go back to this Agent Carter thing. All right, I ain't trying to dwell on it, right? But a very wise person that I call my mentor. This man is also the mentor of Ahmad as well. He's told us some stuff, nuggets that have stuck with us for our whole lives. This man told me and Ahmad a long time ago, when people show you who they are and tell you who they are, believe them. So Agent Carter has shown us who she is. She's a double agent, man. She's playing both sides of the card. She got too much access to resources. This lady had a satellite that she downloaded and dumped information to Sam so they could track Carly. Come on, man. Come on. So she got some kind of hookup. I don't know if the Proud Broker is her dude. I don't know what all that dynamic is about. But she done showed you who she is.
But I'm saying, how you know she's not working with Fury?
No. Cause see, if you were Fury, let me say this. Fury falls up underneath the lines of Steve Rogers. Fury has all information, right? And Fury will give you a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there. But once Fury trusts you, he gonna let you all the way in. Fury's not gonna play both sides with you, right? That's just not that's not in his nature. It's just like you have to know before Fury lets you in. That's always been his character from the beginning.
Besides,
Agent Carter done flipped, you know.
Yeah, Fury ain't in it, man. Fury in space with the Skrulls, so it ain't Fury.
For sure. Yeah, see, there's this Agent Carter, and I'm telling y'all, but I digress, you know.
I think she knows the power broker, bro, and I think we know who the power broker is. I'm going to even say right here on Marvelous Talk, I believe it's that doggone Thunderbolt Ross.
Me too. But she knows what time it is, man. So I you know, I'm saying that. Now, to go to back to the dynamic between those two individuals, right? Anytime throughout the history of the United States, and oftentimes throughout the history of the world, when you see a change in culture, you see a change in power, and you see a shift from one thing to another, there's always multiple ideas that spawn from one ends to a means, right? And most of the time, when you're getting close to the change becoming effective, you get two main ideas. They're polar opposites, but they're ends to the means, right? And that's what, and I give mad shout outs to Dame and Mod for bringing this up, because this has always been throughout our history, right? I mean, even to where you have some folks that follow a certain individual and they heard two people heard the same thing, but have two different views or two different spins or two different viewpoints. So now that's sometimes when you have common ideology, you're like magnet. You attract towards each other, right? And that's where you're seeing Carly and Sam step a little bit close to each other, right? Which even more so ties into the fact that Sam is that guy. That's just, you know, that's just my spin.
Absolutely,
you know?
absolutely. And then we move forth, and then here we go. We got Make-A-Wish Captain America, you know, the wish version of Captain America.
Make-A-Wish.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, man. I mean, he's horrible, man. I mean, he's a Craigslist version. He comes like, Carly Morgenthau is dangerous.
You're under arrest.
Yeah, why do you guys come and try to do this by yourselves? And why is it, you know, y'all broke him out of jail? And he was like, Bucky was like, hey, he pretty much did that himself, kind of, you know. And basically here he is. He's like, you know, well, where's Carly at? He's like, he knows where Carly's at. And that's what we're getting ready to go there. And definitely it's a means to an end. Again, it was, you know, it's a means to an end. And he's like, no. Here comes the Make-A-Wish Captain May. No. But I will say this. You're playing your part, bro. You're playing your part. Wyatt Russell is playing the mess out of his part. Because I hate him like I hate Samuel L. Jackson in Django. If you're playing your part to that point, you know what I'm saying, to where I absolutely hate you, you're doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't dislike him as a person. I just dislike this character. You know what I mean? I really dislike this character. So, you know, he's like, hey, no, we're not doing anything that you said. Give it up. You're going back to jail anyway. He's like, man, look, he got a plan. And he basically tells him, hey, I'm going to talk her down. This is perfect. She just lost somebody. I'm going to talk her down, right? And he was like, it's the perfect time to talk her down. And he's like, nah, we just going to go in there guns blazing. We coming in hot. You know what I'm saying? We coming in hot. We just going to do it. Hey, at the time for surrender. And he was like, nah. But here goes his friend, though. Here goes his friend, Battlestar, who Bucky was like, Battlestar. I mean, that's a whole other thing. I watched it all again. It had me laughing. Like, Battlestar. So here goes Battlestar and tells him, hey, man, if he can talk her down, let him talk her down. We don't have to. And Battlestar, I must remind you, everything compounds on everything. He said, hey, man, you can't punch your way out of these things. He told him that in the locker room. And he has to remind him again. hey man, if there's a peaceful solution, let's explore the peaceful solution. What you
Not
got?
John Walker. Not John Walker. See, Lamar Hoskins is the voice of reason to John Walker. And it's something about, and you've seen this in history, it's repeated itself. When the voice of reason get extinguished in somebody's life, oh man. And we see this lived out in this episode right here. But Lamar Hoskins, man, he's giving that dude, I mean, you notice he's always giving John Walker some type of information that kind of keeps him at bay, keeps him level-headed. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you saw manifested in this situation, man. But oh boy, he chomping at the bits. He looking at the clock. It's been 7 minutes already. Like, dude, calm down, bro. Go take a chill pill, man.
What'd you think about this, G?
You know, me and Ma talked a little bit about this off camera, man. You know, and I told Ma to even go back and watch this part. If you go back and pay attention to the scenes, like as they're walking up that alleyway, man, John Walker is twitching and doing like this and shaking. His hand is shaking and all. And so we have a family member that served in the military, and he has forms of like PTSD that we sort of see with this John Walker character on screen, you know, like in real life, you know, and it's like, it's almost like, for clarity, this is our brother, right? So he's got some issues, right? And that's just because he's a soldier. So he has to fight and he has to win, because if he doesn't win, he's going to die, you know, and that's the mentality that John Walker, and listen, the little subtlety to it, go back and peep the scene out. Zemo's egging him on subtly, even to the point to where Zemo's like, I'm walking first. I'm not giving you no information. I'm going first. You all the way to the back. That's really when Captain America, you know, for lack of a better word, when Captain America start twitching and shit, because he can't stand being in the back of the pack. He thinks like it's that whole supremacist, entitled, I have to be the one, the man with the plan, the man with action. And if not, I can't deal with this.
Dude, I love when Zemo, when Walker handcuffed him and Zemo, oh, so aggressive. I was like you say,
He's egging him on. Getting ready to get to that. We're definitely getting ready to get to that. This next scene that we saw was the funeral. They actually get to the funeral, and when they get to the funeral, this is where Carly sees Sam, because Sam says, "Hey, I'm gonna go in. Let me do this." And of course, Make-A-Wish Cap. He's like, 10 minutes. That's all you got. 10 minutes. And the scene that Dame just referred to is the "you so aggressive" scene. Definitely he put handcuffs on Zemo, which wasn't necessary, but okay. He put handcuffs on Zemo, and he gets to pacing and looking at the shield and grabbing it and all those kind of things. We'll get into that here in a minute, but let's get into the context and the meat of this conversation. So we really find out that Carly is mourning Mama Danya's loss because of the simple fact that Mama Danya took her in off the streets, fed her, gave her some food, kind of helped her life along and helped her maintain. So therefore, she was trying to get the medicine back to Mama Danya so that, definitely she could save her life. Now, there was more to this. They changed this scene because of what's going to happen in episode 5. So there was actually more to this scene, and she had a bigger part to play, but they kind of altered it. So you would have got Mama Danya's history, but, they altered it because of episode 5, and we'll see why, in this next episode. But the dialogue between her and Sam was fabulous, because Sam was able to get inside and talk to her and let her know that, hey, a friend who I know who knows everything about super soldiers, says that you're a supremacist. And she was like, no, I'm not. Ain't no supremacist. I'm fighting a supremacist. What you don't see is I'm trying to handle them. You know what I'm saying? And basically, he said, well, let me ask you a question. You got more the serum, right? She was like, yeah, I got more serum. You know, what of it? You know, he's going, you're going to make more soldiers, right? Yeah, and it's like the people I killed, I'll kill them again. He was like, oh. You know, and at that moment, she realizes that as some of her tactics are wrong, and he has her on the hook, right? So what did you guys think about this dialogue before we actually get into what happens next?
Well, when she said what you said about that, what was interesting, she said, I didn't mean it like that. But you know, there's a passage of scripture that says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Right.
So she was telling you exactly what she meant. It wasn't no, oh, you tricked me. No, sister girl, you was telling us exactly what, and we saw that. We watched you kill some people in a building. and you say, hey, this is the way we got to get down with these people. So it's like, we know, and it's like Sam said, I'm not opposed to your fighting. I'm opposed to the way you're doing your fighting. So it's like you said, man, she's not really, her intentions are not wrong. It's the way her motivation in it is what's wrong.
Right. And what you think, G?
I agree. You know, but it's still a throwback to the first Captain America movie, the first Avenger, man. You know, that whole ideology is that all the serum is going to do is create or turn you into more of what you actually are.
Yeah.
You know, and those individuals, they're becoming more of their character. It's just that we have these individuals throughout the show that they can either push the button and make them activate to become more of what they are, or they can de-escalate them and walk them down. You know, and that's sort of Sam Wilson's character. You know, which in the comic book, that's who he is. In the comic book, for you guys that don't know, because you know I'm always going to go back to that. Sam Wilson is always the voice of reason in the comic book. If you go back and look, Sam Wilson was an Avenger for a long time. So he's always the voice of reason. So keep that in mind. They did an excellent job of bringing that to the big screen.
Yeah, they sure did.
Yeah, definitely. And then we see Agent Walker. We see him pacing and walking around looking at the clock. Oh no, it's wrong. It's wrong. And so he's like, I'm going in. And when he goes, Bucky stops him. He's like, oh, you such a big man. All this
serum coursing through your veins.
Serum in your veins. Why you worried about what's in his veins, Mr. Walker? Mr. Agent Walker, man. Why you
counting that man's pockets? He counted that man's pockets.
He counted pockets. So, you know, definitely he says to him, well, your partner needs backup in there. There's a bomb in the building. He's like, your partner needs backup. And how you gonna feel if his blood is on your hands? Foreshadow.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so he comes in, guns blazing, like, you know, he does. Hey, Carly Morgenthau, you're going to jail. And she's like, you know, definitely you tricked me while your friends was coming. It sounded like trying to tell them, no, that was not my intent. And here they go. Now, first of all, we got to pause because I got to hear you guys' thoughts quickly on what you think when Wyatt Earp came into the discussion when Sam was talking. G, what did you think when you saw Wyatt Earp come in from his mouth?
Because he thinks he's the end all do all and the answer to everything. That's straight up truth to the U.S. agent in the comic book. He's the end all do all. You know, his character, man, is screwed up, man. I know. I'm just gonna say it. I gotta do a rabbit hole on him because it's just so much about him that the big screen is there. He's playing true to character, but you got to know the backdrop about the U.S. agent. You know, that's just me. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Dane, what'd you think about him running in?
I mean, I gotta have it my way. I gotta do it my way. Like you said, man, I'm right. You used a really good term, Wyatt Earp. I'm coming in with my badge. This is my badge. Y'all got to do what I say do. And it's like he didn't even allow them to have their conversation, which was going well. So this goes to show you, man, hot, heavy individual with no self-control is what you see through this dude.
Definitely. And then we see, which is going to be a turn in this whole series. We see Carly take off. She's running, and there's this pursuit. And she gets away from Bucky because Bucky jumps. You see her, make the power jump onto the stairs. Bucky jumps on the stairs. He's running after her, but the place is a maze, so they get lost. And there was a place in there where you could see the cameraman, which is really funny when they came around.
Yeah, that was a trip, wasn't it? You could see that. Yeah. That was a trip.
Like, okay, y'all didn't hide that, but okay, it's all good. Then we see the handcuffs empty, it's Zemo. Zemo ain't standing on handcuffs. And then all of a sudden, she's running, and she runs right into Zemo and that gun. She gets shot in the stomach. She tries to jump over a table, and right where she puts this serum, kind of just rips off. Now, let's talk about this bag that Carly had it in. Remember the scene where we were talking about he was comparing her to Captain America. She opens the vials. There were 7 of them there. I counted. Y'all can go back and see it. There were 7 of them there. But then when it fell on the floor, I saw 9. I counted 9, right? So we know that there were 20 made. We know that there were 8 super soldiers. And we know that Zemo, as soon as he saw the bag, he was like, is this what I think it is? I mean, he kind of looking, I don't know what that look is on people's face. I don't know if that's, a delight or like I finally got it and I'm gonna put it.
I thought he was gonna take that joint for a second when he was looking.
I mean, it looked like it. Ooh, this is good. I mean, he had a look of evil. It was just maniacal. That's all I can say. The look was maniacal. I mean, look at it again, you guys. Look at it out there in TV land. Isn't that a maniacal? That's the definition of a maniacal, because it's not a smile. It's just, and it, I don't know. I don't know.
He looked like the dude off Despicable Me.
Yeah.
Gru. He looked like Gru.
Or Gargamel. Somebody, you know what I'm saying? He looked just horrible. All right, so we see Zemo, and Zemo starts going to work. He throws that thing down on the ground, and then he stomps out all of those that are on the ground that he sees. And but here comes Make-A-Wish Captain America. And he hits him with the shield. Carly gets away, but look at what he finds.
In the corner, there's one left.
Now, what you guys think about this? Talk to me about this scene real quick, Dane.
Well, for one thing, you're wondering is they set it up perfectly because he did not take it. He did not take it at that moment. He put it in his uniform. But the interesting thing, he tells nobody. He tells nobody anything. Lamar comes down right after that. No mention of me having the last. So that alone right there has you wondering, is this dude gonna take this? So yeah, man, I'm kind of curious. I'm curious at this point, is he gonna do it, or is he not gonna do it? But yeah, that was what was interesting to me, that he said nothing about it.
What do you think, G?
Same difference. He wants power. He wants to win in any means necessary. He's gonna do whatever he got to do. Lie, cheat, steal, whatever. He's gonna do it. So like now he's actually got a way to win. He sees this as his golden parachute. Like this is his way to turn the tide, because he's tired of losing. But you know what? Also, does he not know what it is? That's a question I had to ask. I had to go back and watch it a couple of times. Does he not know what it is, or is he for sure knowing what it is? So that's very interesting. Interesting if you believe that he knows or doesn't know.
Yeah, I mean, the gist of the matter is that at this moment, the dude knew what it was. He couldn't not know what it was. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't ask anybody. Like Dame said, he didn't ask anybody, hey, what's this? He knew exactly what it was, right? He knew exactly what it was. So, at this moment, he puts it in his pocket. Battlestar runs in the room. Sam and Bucky run in and say, what did I miss? you know, and he didn't tell him a word. You notice he didn't say a word. But we get back, and as we get back, you know, we're back in Zemo's bachelor pad, you know, and Zemo had the rag on his face, you know, trying to definitely at this point he's, you know, resting on the couch and like, man, you know, I done took one to the head. But he asked an interesting question of Sam, which and Dame referred to this earlier. He asked Sam, he said, hey, Sam, just hypothetical. If you had a chance to take the super soldier serum, would you? And Sam said real quick, no. And he was like, interesting. And at this point, this is why I keep saying that, and Dame said this earlier, Zemo is very impressed at Sam's character. He's really warming up to Sam and believing that Sam is who he says he is. Right? I mean, definitely, he's not confused at all that, you know, Sam is a really good dude. You know, go ahead.
And the thing that keeps resounding to me, and it was interesting when he asked that question. Sam is not a super soldier. Sam is not the textbook definition of a superhero. He's a hero. He's just, if you just say it, he's just a. So I think that has a lot to do with Zemo's admiration of him, is that, once again, he's not a made-up hero. He's a hero by heart. Once again, reason why Steve Rogers chose him and gave him that shield.
And you know what's crazy? That's a direct quote from his sister. Sam's sister said, you always got to be the hero. You always got to save everybody. That's who Sam is. He's a hero. That's who Cap was. He was a hero. You know, when we were growing up, no one to take. It takes one to know one. That whole thing. That's how Sam and Cap kind of connected. You know what I'm saying? It's because they knew they had kindred spirits within inside of them. And at this point, you know, now we have one of the most exciting moments in the whole thing. Here comes Make-A-Wish Cap kicking open the door. You know, I kicked in the door. I said it before, you know what I'm saying? And the thing that really upset me about this scene, and here's where you really started to see this word supremacy show up again, you know, and entitlement show up again. Because he kicked in the door. He said, hey, man, you're going to jail right now. Oh, hand him over. You going to jail right now. He said, Sam told him, he said, man, you're not running anything but your mouth. Basically, you're not running nothing in here but your mouth. Now, ride on. And he said something that infuriated the fire out of me. He said, oh, so how you think this gonna go? Basically saying to Sam, look here, you ain't got enough to handle me. You know what I'm saying? And he said, should I put down the shield to make it fair? Oh, my gosh. Oh, man, I want to jump through the TV and slap Al Bundy's face so bad. Open hand slap. And then you see the Dora Milaje step in. But before I actually get to that scene, I have to let y'all unpack what y'all just saw on Make-A-Wish Cap say to Sam, because it just showed it's the entitlement. It's the actual, it took me back to all of the things that are happening with the police brutality in the country. People who have authority abusing that authority, telling people, hey, man, how you think this gonna go? What? Man, listen, he proved himself of use, is what Sam said. He proved himself of use. We need him for the stuff that's coming. How did you guys feel when y'all heard this statement, man?
Man, he's a loser. I mean, if you're a real hero, man, you don't have to prove nothing to nobody. Just what it comes down to me, he is not. This dude is not sure of who he is. He's the new Captain America. He still don't know what that means.
He don't know what it means at all. Right.
No clue.
No clue. And what do you think, G, of that whole interaction?
Well, so check this out for those people that are new to the show and who haven't really dived into the Marvel world and all whatever else as far as the MCU is concerned. The issue is any hero that's in the MCU up on the big screen, they have one central thing: redemption. All the way back from Tony Stark to David Banner to Thor to Black Widow to Hawkeye, and I'll run down the list. Every Doctor Strange, Peter Parker, they're all about redemption, right? They're all about redemption. Yeah. John Walker is the first guy that we see up on the big screen for the MCU that was deemed a hero and have no redemptive qualities about him at all. His way's right, everybody else is wrong. It doesn't matter what you say or what you do. I'm going to go this way because I'm the one. So it's showing me right off the bat in his character, in his characteristic, he's not a hero. If anything, he's an anti-hero or a villain. To me,
he's a villain. True indeed. And you know, here's the moment of truth. This is what you see, Dang, right here. You see Dora Milaje come in. They done threw the spear at the column. The spear done hit the column. Now, first of all, if I see a spear that place, it just came this far from me and hit a column, I'm fixing to unring the bell real fast anyway. Look here, I'm sorry. I apologize. You can throw a spear like that. Let me talk to you.
What provoked the fight, though?
Him running his mouth.
No. That too. But what? When the first punch happened, what did he do to make her?
He haven't even got to that part. I'm just saying, when you see the spear hit the column, she threw the spear and you let y'all know she was in the room at that point, right? So he threw the spear, and the spear passed by his face. It missed him by this much. So I'm just saying, what's going through your head as an individual? If I know you know how to throw this thing, and I know you know how you could have took me out. At this point, I'm asking questions. Hey man, listen, what can we do to unring this bell? I apologize. You know what I'm saying? But that ain't Make-A-Wish's character. Make-A-Wish wanted, like Sean just said, like Big Jesus said, I got to be the man. And so he goes and puts his hand on Adora Milaje. What the heck is wrong with you? This woman just threw a spear by this much, and you thinking you can tap on the shoulder, hey buddy, I'm Cap. Let me hold up. Let me let you know who I am. Let me introduce myself, because
she gave him a greeting. She gave him a greeting, all right.
when you know who I am, then you're gonna leave me alone. So they were there to get Zemo, right? They were there to get Zemo, and at this point, the Dora Milaje just basically handle business. They whoop everybody in the room, and the funny thing to me is, at first Bucky wasn't helping. He was like, "Hey, doing good there, John. Wait, doing good." And Sam's like, "Man, help!" So they're about to kill Agent Walker, and Sam, Bucky steps in to stop Io from doing it, and then they're about to kill Battlestar, and Sam stops them from doing it. And at this point, dang, this is crazy. This is what trips me out. If Io does this, PlayStation 4 move on she does a PlayStation 4 move on Bucky, and knocks his arm right on off. What do you think about that, Dane? What do you think?
Bucky didn't know what to do. Bucky's sitting there with his mouth open like, what did she just do to my arm? And Sam was like, hey, you know she could do that? And he's like, no.
Oh, God. And
that was awesome.
Yeah. And Big G, real quickly, what did you think about that whole thing?
Well, the whole thing is that the most powerful people in the room was the door. When you really think about it, think about how much vibranium was in that room, right? The shield was vibranium. Bucky Barnes' arm was vibranium. Their whole uniform was vibranium. The spears was vibranium. Now, check this out. This is 5 years and some months after the snap. This is where King T'Challa done went and told the whole world about what they got and what they are.
Mm-hmm.
So this U.S. agent guy hasn't even done his homework to realize I'm holding a vibranium shield, which comes from the land that these people, I don't even realize what I got. I'm about to get hauled out. He don't even get it. But once again, that's the whole, I'm better than you. And he even almost talks to them like they're third world country people.
No,
which is straight up racism.
He did. He did.
Talk to them like they, let me tell you who I am. I forget who you are, but let me tell you who I am. So he gets mad.
Hey, I love the introduction. He's like, "Hey, Captain America," and they give him this look like, "Fool, you ain't Captain America."
And they was like, "We don't care what you are, where you come from. We are the door, baby boy. We Wakandans."
And the nigga said, "You don't have jurisdiction." It's like we have jurisdiction wherever we are.
There it is. So that's exactly that entitlement saying, "Oh, you don't have jurisdiction here." He
didn't have jurisdiction there because he's not even supposed to be there.
He was supposed to be there. You know what I'm saying? Because everything they did was off the books. We found that out last episode. Good one, Dane. Way to bring that up. So he basically gets handled. He gets handled. Everybody in the room gets handled. Zemo gets away, but here is the best moment of it all. This is my payoff. They wasn't even super soldiers. They wasn't even super soldiers. This guy's crying like he was putting real tears in his beard. He got whooped by some people who wasn't even super soldiers, and it was hard for him to believe.
Hey, Ma, they was about to take his shield. Ayo said, "Leave it. Leave him with his toy."
Hey, that's comic book throwback too, because in the comic books, U.S. agent gets beat down a lot, and he keeps getting whooped and whooped and whooped and whooped. He doesn't understand, and that ultimately provokes him in the comic books to start killing people. So, but that changes his personality, and the comic books gets real deep. This guy's a dark character, but that's almost like a throwback to the book.
And see, this is what I'm saying. This entitlement right here. He inherits. See, when you don't understand, Dane, when you don't get the fact that something has been given to you that has power, when you don't have to work to get it, the type of attitude that you're gonna see out of a person when they don't have to work to get influence. See, influence is one of those things that just can't be given to you. You gotta earn it.
Yep. Just like that word respect. Respect isn't given. It got to be earned.
That's right. So we get to the scene, and we're gonna speed up. There's a couple of things that I want to get in before the end of the show. We get to the scene, the whole fight. We want to talk about the fact that she called Sam's sister because she knew that Sam didn't really mean to set her up. That this kind of thing happened, but she had to be sure. She called Sam's sister, threatened Sam's sister, which lets me know she did her homework because she was like, we show up on the dock, which she was talking to her on the dock. So at this point, she did her homework. She knew what was there, and she knew the sounds, and she knew what was going on, right? So she got Sam to the place. Agent Carter had already told, we're going to get to that. She got Sam to the place. Sam and Bucky are there because Bucky's like, "Yo, you're not going by yourself. I'm going with you." And she gets Sam there, and she's trying to convince Sam to be on her squad, or she's trying to separate them so that they could go ahead and handle Make-A-Wish Captain America. That was the goal, was to kill him, right? And take him off the board, right? Because she had got an important phone call, so we can't miss this. An important text message from the power broker again, telling her, "Hey, we about to arrest you." You know what I'm saying?
Coming for you.
Yeah. But one of the dopest scenes on this thing is when they found out where everybody was at this point, and Agent Walker, and they were leaving, and Bucky jumps down, and she jumps off and puts Bucky into the side of the wall. Man, I'm gonna tell you, if that wasn't great CGI, I don't know what do you think of that, Dan?
Yeah, man, that whole scene, the fight scenes were amazing. I mean, I give kudos to them stunt doubles, man, that was doing that work, because they made that stuff look real.
Definitely. What you think, G?
Yeah, definitely super soldier all across the board, man. They getting it in. You know, fight scenes better than Civil War. That's all I can say. Just better than it's better than Civil War.
Wow.
To me, you know.
And then another scene we just can't gloss over is where Battlestar kind of convinced him to take the super soldier serum. You know, I mean,
no, he just asked him, man. I mean, he just asked him in the thing. Would he? If he asked Battlestar once again? Lamar is the voice of reason to this dude. So he asked him. He's like, if you had the chance to take it, would you? He's, hell's yeah, which was a weird expression. I ain't never heard a brother say nothing like that. But anyway. Yeah, I mean, Lamar was his balance and his fulcrum. You know, when he made that statement, that was his go ahead to go ahead and do it, because Lamar would do it. So
yeah,
go ahead.
And in that scene too, you know, they were talking about, you know, you're a guy with 3 medals of honor and all whatever else. And John Walker said something off the hook. He said, if people really knew what we did to earn these things, would I really be a hero? Right.
Which I would really love to know what he did, man. When he said it, I'm like, dang, what did he do? You know what I'm saying? There's some shadiness in there.
You know, it probably was. Yeah. And so, you know, he said Lamar also said it only makes you more of who you are, right?
Yeah.
And Steve. And he's like, you definitely a hero. No, you're not. No, you're not. You know, he even told you, once again, when somebody tell you who they are, you need to believe me. He even told you, well, if they knew what I did to get these medals, you know, then I wouldn't be a hero, basically. So we fast forward, and here we are, him in Battlestar goes into a building, and once they go into this building, they're looking for Carly and everybody else. And so he takes his eyes off of Battlestar, and he's listening. And Dame, this is the crazy thing about this, Dame and G. He's listening and he's whispering to Lamar, and then Lamar gets taken. At this point, you see him start doing work, and then, wow, he throws the shield into the wall. What do you think at this point, Dame? What was it that was going through your mind?
He's activated. He's activated. He is definitely officially the U.S. agent now. Super soldier serum and all. Yep. So at that point, ain't no way you throwing no shield and it's sticking in no wall that deep if you don't have no supercharged super serum coursing through your veins now. So
I definitely go back and check out, if you get an opportunity, the Captain America, the First Avenger, and do the parallelism between when Steve Rogers first got the formula versus when John Walker first got the formula. There's a lot of parallel stuff. They're awkward. They're clunky. They don't realize how much power they actually have. Steve Rogers runs so fast that he tips and goes into a glass store. John Walker throws the shield, and he's like, oh, my God, I could actually throw this through a wall if I didn't even hardly try. And, you know, it went into a wall. So, you know, definitely a lot of parallelisms between good Cap and the wannabe Cap, you know.
Right. So at this point, you see Make-A-Wish Cap kick somebody. You know, they're in there fighting, that squab, and Carly's running, following Bucky. Bucky's coming in, and they're ready. So Bucky gets in, and he's engaged in the squabble, and you have everybody in here fighting. You got the two fighting Sam. You got one fighting Sam. You got one fighting Bucky, and then you have Make-A-Wish Cap kick somebody down the stairs, and Sam is like, "Oh, what did you do?" At this point, Sam realizes this boy done took a serum.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah.
And as they're fighting, you know, Lamar's tied up. Lamar gets ready to get loose, and he gets loose, and he's running. So he sees, at this point, he saw Make-A-Wish Cap being held by another super soldier. And here comes Carly about to you know, cancel Christmas like Tommy from Power say. Tommy, he's about to cancel Christmas. So he tackles Carly, and Carly punches him to the moon, basically. You know, she punches him into a column. Lamar Hoskins is dead. Now, couple things I got to say about this before we move on to the last scene. One thing I got to say is his partner's dying, and Dame has been saying throughout this whole time, voice of reason to keep Make-A-Wish cap off of everybody's radar is gone, right? Also, the underbelly that has propped him up is gone. So follow the racial undertones, follow the economic undertones. It's all there and represented in Battlestar. It's represented. It's all there. All of the epitones of racial inequality, racial economic inequality. It's all there being propped up. We're propping up something, a system that doesn't care about the lower level individuals. It cares about winning at all costs. That's what Dane told us earlier. That's what Big G told us. It cares about winning at all costs, but it's propping it up. Now, once those people are gone, now you see the true character of the individual that's left, right? Because when
do we see it?
when I can't win at all costs, now I got to kill you. That's what the enemy does. When he's finished using you, he got to kill you. You know what I'm saying? So we see him after the loss of his friend. We see a different thing. We see him looking at his friend here, dead, and we see the look in his eyes just change. And like G said, you see him jump out the window like Captain America jumps out the window, land on with the superhero land on the car, and he's in full chase. And once he catches the dude, he's like, "Where is she?" He goes all Dark Knight on us, you know. He goes Dark Knight, "Where is she?" And he's standing over him, and he beats the man to death with the shield. Now, we have a throwback here where we see the shield being used on somebody's chest before, but it was being used on the chest with restraint. Cap could have did the same thing. Yeah. He didn't. He could have ended something.
You don't see no blood on the shield either.
No blood on the shield. No blood on the shield. And as he kills the man in the square, you see all the people behind him, you know, because this is in plain sight in front of everybody. And the name of the episode is The Whole World Could See. Mm-hmm. And the whole world saw. So now you see Bucky and Sam looking, and you can see the disgust on Bucky's face. Like, what did you do? What did you do? And just like Dame says, we're left with the blood on the shield. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to turn it over to Dame. You got to understand, this to me has so much symbolism and power, right? Because it's like it's blood on your hand, blood on the shield, but blood on the flag. Mm. You know what I'm saying? You got to think about it. There's so much dirt that America has done, and this is symbolic of that right now, right? That's what we're seeing. And we're also seeing this man tighten up the shield. He tightens the shield up and stands there like, I don't care if you're taping me. I'm right.
Right.
What I'm doing is right. And I could care less if you're taping me. Now, where have we seen that before?
Yeah. We've never seen that. Not in the MCU. We've seen it. We've seen it in history. Oh, yeah, we've seen it in history.
All the murder porn we've been seeing here lately, and we see it, you know, and this is a man who's a super soldier, yes, but he's defenseless.
Hey, all I gotta say is January 6th, bro.
I mean, come on. So, Dame, tell me what you thought about this scene.
Like I said, man, what did it for me, and they did that imagery on purpose, was that blood on that shield. Because as we've said, we've seen Steve Rogers hit people with that shield. We've seen him bounce it off the shield, but you've never seen him kill nobody with the shield. You've never seen him kill anybody, period. He just what the word I'm using? But he in Kappa, I can't say the word. It's late. He stops him. He stops him. But he doesn't. You've never seen.
He never decapitates nobody.
Yeah, thank you. But like I said, you've never seen him kill anybody, and this was just amazing that this dude did something with the shield that really isn't his, that really wasn't entrusted to him, and he killed somebody in broad daylight with people filming, and he proudly displays it like, take it from me.
Yeah, like, come get it.
Yeah.
Who else wants some?
Right.
You know, G, what did you think about this real quick?
Well, you know, it's the birth of the anti-hero. I mean, whether y'all want to, you know, people want to realize it or not, you're seeing somebody who thinks he's all right turn all wrong. You know, the anti-hero is a main theme in the comic book, you know, to where you see people who are like dark shades of gray. They're not even white or black. They're dark shades of gray. And so you go anti-hero.
Do you think he's a hero or villain? I believe he's a villain. I don't believe he's a hero anymore.
I think he's an anti-hero because it depends on what side of the coin you're standing on. There are some folks, and I believe we're going to see this as the show goes on. Some folks, they're going to whitewash this. They're going to sweep it under the, I believe you're going to see it. You're going to see it whitewashed. You're going to see it swept up underneath the rug. They're going to justify the ends to the means. To some folks, you know, he's still the autograph signing. Hello, good morning, America. Hey, I'm Captain America. And he did it in broad daylight. You know,
but
so
these people, you could hear him, G. These people were terrorists. So he was just dealing with them the way terrorists need to be dealt with.
Yeah, he's an anti. Yeah, he's an anti-hero, you know. So that's the whole thing behind anti-hero. They justify what they are. They justify their stance. They believe that they're wholeheartedly right, but in all actuality, they're causing more wrong for, you know, than they are good.
So get this, what you just said, think about it. Carly and John Walker are almost identical.
Yeah.
Think
they're
about
two sides of a coin.
Yeah.
They're two sides of a coin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what it is.
I believe one's going to end up being our villain, though. I believe that's Agent Walker. At the end, you heard this here first. At the end, I do believe that Sam and Carly will work together to defeat Agent Walker, and you'll see Agent Walker not be dead, but probably join your boy Thunderbolt Ross at some point. I really believe that
He'll go rogue.
Yeah, I believe it's gonna happen, man. But you know, that's more for another show, and we'll probably get into that later. But you guys, I thank you for being here for another episode of Marvelous Talk, man. I'm telling you, we had a great time. I told you this episode was going to be full of jewels, and we dropped them all for you. But for your main man, Big G, for your main man, Dane, this your boy, Mod, man. I'm out. Another week of Marvelous Talk. Catch us on the flip side.